trying to find a topic for today. There were many things were popping up in my head, and I think this is a season that we're coming close to Christmas, and I figured the best topic to talk about was in giving, because the Bible tells us that God loves a good giver, and it said, "Give, and it shall be given to you in great measure." And this is the time that people are gathering, going to stores, running here and running there, trying to buy gifts for their children, their loved ones, neighbors, friends. And and it tells us in the Bible that it's fine to do that at Christmas time, but giving should be a process that we all should go through all year long. It doesn't have to be in monetary things. We can give of our time. We can give moral support. There was one time I was in the hospital, and I was amazed about this little lady. She came to deliver flowers. She had a little cart, and she came 3 times a week, and she was very light. She wasn't more than 5 feet tall, and she was always had a smile on her face, and she was doing a labor of love. And when I asked her, how long have you been doing that? She says, 24 years. I said, well, how old are you? And she says, I'm 90. And here this lady was putting 3 days a week. She probably was on a very small pension, and that all she could give was her time. And I said, what a wonderful gift. If everybody did something, and everybody can do it at one time or another. I was observant of a man that was sitting in a chair. He was an elderly man, and he was collecting for a certain fund for some homeless children. The children run away from home, and the parents don't know where they're at, and they try to get food, something. He had a little box there, and there was a very big store. And in the course of 20 minutes that I was sitting in a car, because I was waiting for a friend of mine, I saw many people go in and out of that store, many people. And I saw them as they tried to wiggle around so they wouldn't confront the man. They didn't want to give anything. And I said, this is pitiful, because if every one of those persons gave a quarter, there were so many, in 1 hour, there's hundreds of people going through there. That would be enough to feed quite a few children. And then I saw, and people used to say, well, I don't have any money. And they just go into contortions. And there was one man, I thought he's going to pull his pockets out to show that he didn't have any money. And then I watched him as he got into his car, and he was getting into a new Lexus. And I said, well, this equation isn't very good, because nobody ever leaves the house with less than $10. I'm sure most everybody has some coins. Even if it's not for us to judge who we give it to, because God says your thing is to give, and the receiver will be grateful. And we have to be good receivers also. And we are all receivers, because the universe, Mother Earth, feeds us. Look out, those trees are giving seasonal, and they shed their leaves and they grow more leaves. And sometimes we feel like we don't have anything to give, but there's always something. I was so amazed when our former pastor, Pastor Mike, he was talking about, everyone knows about Mother Teresa, right? Everybody knows Mother Teresa of Calcutta. And this was a little woman, she was Armenian, and she went to Calcutta, and she decided, she walked down the street, and she saw so much poverty, and the people were dying on the street because they had no place to go. She said there has to be dignity in having these people. And she decided, and she got her nuns together, and she set them out to ask every single day to get something so she could build the place. Well, she found the place, and then she had to let them go out again because they need supplies. And pretty soon she had the beds for them, and she had the linens, and then it was a daily thing. It was some constant. And she was so persevering. the whole world knows her. She got the Nobel Prize. And our Pastor Mike had met Mother Teresa, and she talked to him, and she said, I don't know why people make such a big thing about me. I'm just a servant of God. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And they want accolades and all this. I just want to be very quiet. And she didn't want crowds. She was not about to have crowds. And here was a simple woman giving so much. And I said to myself, if we could only give maybe 1/20 of what she's given, the world would be so much better. And we find out that the happiest people are the ones that are giving the most. We know without a fact. And you know, Charles Dickens was so inspired when he wrote the Christmas Carol, and he had the character of Scrooge, because this was an angry man. He was not happy. He abused his employees. He made them overwork. He would not part with a nickel. I think he probably had a nickel, first nickel he ever earned. And this was a beautiful story, and it's written for every Christmas it comes out. You can see it at all times. And he didn't wake up to the reality until it was shown to him Christmas past, Christmas present, and Christmas future. And when he saw what he had done, the God within, he tuned into that, and he gave into the Spirit. So he had to go to the house and give him the best. And the little boy, he had crutches, and he carried him. And then he became he changed his life completely. And it was through giving that he got the most joy. And I find out that I look at people out there, and you could tell which ones are the happiest, because they live without any thought of return. And that's what it takes. You don't have any strings attached. You give because loving is such a great thing. You get so much more in return. My affirmations for today, and I have 2 affirmations, because we're givers and we're receivers. The first affirmation is, I give freely with joy. The second has to do with receiving. I receive all things with gratitude. This is the ebb and the flow. The ocean goes out and it comes in. The trees bear and they drop their leaves to renew themselves, to go from the earth itself and get the things, the minerals that they need, and the fruit and the vegetables. So we see all through life, it's there present. So if we could take that and give and be free as any those things that I mentioned. And I have 3 quotes, and I think you've heard about these people. The first one has to do with Mother Teresa, because I just think her story's funny. She said, it's not how much you give, but how much love you put into giving. Because people give and they just they want to pull back. They want to, what am I need? They do it out of fear, because they fear if I give too much, I won't have enough. And it says the storehouses of heaven will be overflowing. And the second one, and everybody's heard of, has everybody heard of Winston Churchill? Some of the young ones might not know. And he was the Prime Minister of England. And he said, we make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give. And that was wonderful words. Now the third one, and this is given by Ben Carson. He's not Johnny Carson's brother. That's not for sure. And it says, happiness doesn't result from what we get, but from what we give.